What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some of the data points, what moved it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi went up 1.6%, 1987 the high, 1915 the low. So we did have a lot of volatility first thing as the market kind of digested the CPI data. So for face value, kind of came in a little bit hotter, but the data behind the scenes was relatively optimistic. So I'll kind of go over that in a second. But the market was a little bit more optimistic as it started to really digest how many rate cuts are going to occur in 2026. And I think kind of where it's sitting is about 2.5. So pretty good stuff. Then again, in all fairness, we have that same type of kind of hope in 2025 as well as 2024. So it kind of just signals exactly what the market is yearning for, which is the next big catalyst, and that is going to be rate cuts. So hopefully we do get one for the upcoming March meeting as what is kind of the current expectations. But with us going into a long weekend, we always have this kind of push lower near the second half of the day, as anything can happen during a long weekend. I think we kind of generally become fearful over that now. So hopefully no attacks or anything like that. We did have okay volume, so 42.7 million shares being traded, a lot of which did come from institutions, but as you can kind of see, the biggest thing was algorithmic trading. So AI is kind of just moving the broader market, not just SoFi. As far as data, we did have CPI that came in a little bit hotter, so month over month came in at 0.2, forecast of 0.1, but if you actually look at the data behind the scenes, energy did go up, so that means other basket items kind of went down. This is why for face value we had a lot of kind of volatility, because people traded based on this data, and then people kind of smartened up, looked at the true data, and kind of moved higher. There really wasn't that much in news associated to SoFi, so for those of you that kind of realized, I haven't done a video in like a week, so I did a quick trip out to England, just in and out. And yeah, I kind of kept tabs on SoFi and just the broader market. It was very volatile, so good if you're kind of a swing trader, but there really wasn't that much in news. There was Tanner's most recent interview, which was pretty A-okay if you kind of think about it. So I think the moral of the story is that SoFi, in comparison to a lot of its peers, is trading at a pretty substantial discount. Aside from that though, you did also have Tanner post this about the web traffic, and this is something that's been happening more and more frequently, is just record high amount of web traffic. So there's always this big correlation between this and member growth. So this might make for a good Q1 earnings. I know it might be a little bit early to kind of start talking about that, but still, the only other thing that was kind of worthwhile to bring up was posted by the Insider. So I think they changed their name from SoFi Insider to just Insider, and this is their thing right here. So it looks like just a upcoming conference where Anthony Noto is going to be one of the featured speakers. It's not going to be occurring anytime soon, so it's between March the 30th and April the 1st, so you kind of have a long time to think about that. But aside from that, that's pretty much it. SoFi was at the mercy of the broader market. Today we did have shorts return 459,000 shares. 8.7% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 109 million shares overall are being shorted. So it's been, like I said, a week since I've done any real SoFi videos. Shorts kind of didn't really do too much. They kind of returned, so about 9.3% to 8.7, so nothing too significant. Looking at the options today, we had 16 million in calls, 18 million in puts, so very low amount of options being done. 41% were bearish in nature. With today being Friday and it closing at 1961, that does mean that the 1950 and below strike prices are in the money. So quickly looking here, we have 3,000 at the 1950, 2,000 at the 19. So you're not going to see any gamma squeeze, not going to see any bump up because of that. So still possibly next week, which is a monthly chain, a little bit more active. So that's something just to keep in mind. Of course, next week is a shorter week, but these are some of the transactions that did occur on the secondary market. So it honestly was very small, so it does match with kind of the lower-ish volume, and there wasn't really anything crazy that stands out from here. So the largest being 7.01 million, that was done first thing, and based on kind of the price, it was kind of a mid transaction. So the bid at the time was 19.28, the ask was 19.30, so it's kind of smack dead in the middle. So a lot of platforms have a hard time distinguishing whether that was a buy or sell. But yeah, since I've been my last SoFi video, this has gone down quite a lot. So institutions may be taking a step back. It's not just with SoFi though, it is happening across the board. And this is something I do a lot of deeper analysis on my Stacked and Patreon accounts, is what the data behind the scenes is really signaling. And ultimately, early this week, did start to see a lot of hedging. So it looks like big money is kind of preparing for another kind of volatile time, and that's a nice way of putting maybe a tentative drop. But these are some of the transactions that did occur on the Darkpool, so nothing of significance. Kind of matches with just shorts not really doing all that much, with it closing at 1961, right above this S1. So 1955 is going to be that key pivot. Just watch for that to kind of hold ideally going into next week on Tuesday, and then 1857 will be the following support. If it does and we have a nice good recovery, possibly some good news over the weekend, then 2114 is going to be the next round target / resistance. Aside from all of that, on the actual chart itself, it's not really much to say. Ever since it did break below that 200-day moving average, we were kind of losing a lot of momentum, and plus you can kind of see just losing a lot of volume as well. So big money is not really lining up to buy the dip as much as I'm sure a lot of people would like to see. So it's just like I've stated in the past, there's a lot of different things all happening at once, a lot of different fearful things, and the market can kind of handle one or two things at the same time, but now there's like numerous, and that's causing more of a snowball effect. And honestly, I think people are tapped out. People don't have money to buy the dip anymore. So as much as I'd like to say that this is a good deal for SoFi, it could very much continue to go down. Even looking at the market position, you have some good willing buyers up to roughly around that $19 range. But still, if fear does increase over the weekend, for instance, then you could see a little bit more of a leg down. And right now it is below all of the key moving averages. So the 10, 50, 100, 200 is below all of them. So again, not necessarily the best. Stochastic RSI is at 46, so it's somewhat neutral in nature. So it's not really considered overbought nor oversold. So it's just at the mercy of the broader market. So let me know your general thoughts on SoFi. Since my last video, on a side note, there hasn't been any new analyst ratings. So we did have JMP increasing their rating from 17 to 30, and that was done on the 9th. And so actually that one might be new since my last video, but aside from that, that's pretty much it. So let me know your thoughts on SoFi. Hopefully everyone has a good weekend. Stay tuned for my videos over the weekend where I go over some expectations, key levels to watch for, and so forth. And one final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.